Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Saturday, October 25th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Penn State game in 7 days, the game against Michigan in 35 days. If you're planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. Today is a Saturday off for the Ohio State Buckeyes. It is also a Saturday off for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Both teams get a week off heading into their game next weekend, and of course, that was a game that was circled on everyone's calendar as one of the biggest on the college football calendar. And this, season has not exactly gone the way Penn State hoped it would. They are 3-4. They no longer have head coach James Franklin in charge. Now the new interim coach there is Terry Smith. On today's show, you're going to get to hear a little bit from Terry Smith, one of his press conferences this week. He had some interesting stuff to say. Also, just figured it might be nice for you guys to see him and hear from him a little bit before they come to town next weekend. So just to let you know a little bit about Terry Smith, he is a former Penn State player, late 80s, early 90s. He's been assistant with the Penn State Nittany Lions since 2014. Now he is running the show there for the rest of the season. So one of the things he was asked about was the running back and finding the right balance of carries. All season long, it has felt like there has been sort of a steady drumbeat for Kaytron Allen to get more carries and Nick Singleton to get fewer. Allen has been a much more productive running back over the course of this season. But Smith has talked about the fact that he wants to get Nick Singleton more touches. So how do you balance that with keeping Kaytron Allen at the center of what they do? And all of these answers in the video, courtesy of Penn State Athletics.
Yeah, obviously Kaytron's running the ball really well. We want to try to get Nick the ball out in space. He's a faster back. He has the home run capability, hitting capability. So just trying to be strategic in getting the ball to him in space. And that's going to be a focal point for us.
The on-the-field stuff is just one of the concerns right now for Penn State. The off-field stuff and recruiting, that is a big one as well. They have had some decommitments in the wake of James Franklin's firing. So how much recruiting did they do during the off week, and what is the message there to recruits right now?
Yeah, we're going to recruit this week. We're going to touch base, especially with all our commits and the guys that are kind of on the fringe of, they were committed and now they're kind of looking around. We're going to touch base with all those guys. And our message is, Penn State's had 3 coaches in, 60 years or whatever. We're going to hire a great coach, and this place is still Penn State.
So that's the message to recruits. What's the message to the team right now, coming off of 4 straight losses? And frankly, just where is the team's emotional state right now?
Yeah, so the message right now is stay together. We went and fought. And, I told you guys last week, we'll get those guys to play hard. They played extremely hard. They left it up there. Now the key is finish. There's plays on the offense, the defense, the special teams, where we're just leaving game-changing plays out there. We've got to close, and the defense has to get off the field when the offense scores and puts us up, and the offense has to score touchdowns instead of field goals late in the game, and we can't have bobble, mishandle, punt return, kick return. So we got to get all that cleaned up, and those are all the little things that are keeping us from victory.
Terry Smith has been a head coach at the high school level, but not at the college level. So what has it been like to be in the big chair in Happy Valley? Because that is a big, big transition right in the middle of a college football season.
I think the transition has been really good. This week has slowed down tremendously from last week. This is a big job. This is a CEO job, and it's so much more than coaching guys on the football field. It's all the organization, it's the media, you're running everything. And so all of that was kind of rehashing some old memories from when I was a head coach, times 10,000. I think this week is slowing down. This week I've already watched more film on Ohio State than I watched on Iowa the whole week last week. So we're ahead of the curve, and I think now we're going to settle on in and kind of get into a routine and, just keep putting our best foot forward.
Decommitments in recruiting are certainly one concern at Penn State right now. Potential guys entering the transfer portal after the season, well, that is probably another one. One of the names you hear quite a bit mentioned by Ohio State fans is Chaz Coleman. He was a 4-star edge recruit in the 2025 class coming out of Harding High School in Warren, Ohio. That's the same school that produced Maurice Clarett way back in the day. He's certainly a guy to watch in the portal. He's only had 12 snaps the last 2 weeks. So what is going on with Chaz Coleman? Has he been dealing with an injury?
Chaz was sick going into, I think it was the UCLA game. And he's just now getting healthy. And then with the Iowa game, Chaz is more of a pass rusher. And he didn't fit the game plan for what Iowa was going to bring. They were going to run the ball, and he's a little thinner on that side. That's why Yvonne played a lot more in that game.
After the Iowa loss, Smith mentioned that defensive backs have been sitting in on staff meetings recently, just trying to get a better grasp of the defense. Of course, I probably don't need to remind you that Jim Knowles is the new defensive coordinator at Penn State after serving 3 years at Ohio State. That'll be something you probably hear about a few times over the course of the next week or so. And Knowles, his defense has generally been very, very effective where he's gone eventually. But generally, there's a pretty steep learning curve for the first year or so just because it's kind of complicated. So where are those defensive backs with sort of understanding the full picture for the defense right now?
Yeah, those guys come in there sometimes when we watch practice or watch the film after practice. There's a lot of combination calls, right? If the offense does this, we're going to do that. And there's like 6 different options to a single play. And, sometimes there's not really a right or wrong. It's they got to just confirm a call so we're all on the same page. And then you all obviously want to be in the perfect call. And so those guys are trying to learn that. I think they have a good grasp of it. But they're still learning it. And, it's still a work in progress. And we just got to get the mental thinking out of it where our guys can play fast and be more athletic and better players.
Is that a process that they can find a way to speed up getting those defensive backs up to speed with the Jim Knowles defense? Or is that just one of those things that you sort of shrug your shoulders and say, yeah, man, it just takes a while?
Yeah, it's complicated. It's very complicated. It's pro-like. So this is really good for our guys that dream and wish to go to the NFL. This is what they're going to get. And they got to understand you have to apply yourself. Right, where football may have been so easy where, I can grab that, I can grasp that, I can grasp that. Now all of a sudden, you have to study this like education, like going to math class,
One of the things that really sent Penn State spiraling was the fact that they went out to UCLA and lost. And of course, one of the big pieces of the UCLA story is the fact that they changed play callers, and Jerry Neuheisel really sort of mixed things up and really has given the UCLA offense a new life. So when you look at that as an interim coach, is there any temptation to maybe change the play callers on either side of the ball for Penn State?
The play callers are the play callers. We do have opinions from everyone else. That's kind of been one of my roles here this last week. Just getting ideas of, how everyone thinks of the offense and what we think we should be doing, and how everyone thinks of the defense and what we think we should be doing. There are subtle changes that are have been taking place. We're just going to continue to try to tweak here, tweak there. We're not trying to blow this thing up. At the end of the day, man, we've lost 4 games, and in any game, one play could make a difference. We're trying to close the gap for that one play difference, and that's what we're grasping onto.
There hasn't been just one thing that has gone wrong for the Nittany Lions this season. When you have a season that goes from potential national championship to 3-4 and your head coach fired before Halloween, a lot of stuff has to go wrong. So is it possible still for this team to get on the same page and be able to play complementary football?
We have to. It's the only way to success. Right, and all 3 teams have to be clicking on all cylinders. Obviously we go up to Ohio State. They're the best team in the country. They're the most talented team in the country. We have to be clicking on all cylinders to give ourselves a chance for that game.
One of the big challenges for Penn State this year on offense has been the ability to really drive the ball down the field in the passing game. That's something that Smith talked about after the Iowa game. And so where does that stand now? You will hear him say a couple first names here, Tyseer and Kobe. that has redshirt freshman Tyseer Denmark. That's a name you may remember from recruiting for Ohio State a few years ago. He came to some Ohio State camps and was a target for Ohio State for a little while. And Kobe Howard, he's a true freshman.
Yeah, we had those conversations last week, and we continue to have those conversations. That's going to be a part of, Tyseer and Kobe as a part of that, right? Like, how can we get the ball in different areas of the field? We've just got to continue to grow our pass game beyond the intermediate zone, right? So, that's your digs, your curls, your comebacks, and then vertically deep. And, just to, with our run game starting to click and starting to hit on all cylinders, we've got to be able to play action off of that and go in behind the linebackers and develop that pass game. So we've been talking about that a little last week and a little more this week. We have to execute that to have a chance again.
And finally, boy, isn't this just sort of the biggest question of the week for Penn State? A whole lot has happened this season. Your goals to win the national championship, even the Big Ten championship, those are completely out the window right now. Head coach, gone. So does this team still have any fight left in them?
Yeah. They don't have a choice if they're going to play for me. Like, quit isn't in my vocabulary. Like, we all have a job to do. And everyone's got to play to the end. You got to give your soul. And, things aren't going our way right now, but the only way to get out the storm is to run through the storm. And we're going to run through the storm until we get out the storm. And we'll come out and the sun will shine on us, and we'll all be better for it.
Well, the Nittany Lions will be in town next weekend, taking on the Buckeyes. That game is a noon kick on Fox next Saturday. We'll have full coverage for you at BuckeyeHuddle.com, YouTube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. Plenty of coverage all week long as well. Old friend Jim Knowles coming back to town. Should be plenty of stuff to talk about all week long. Should be a very fun, interesting game as well for the Buckeyes as they turn the page into November. Jim Tressel had a saying about that. I'm sure you remember it. So the final month of the regular season, it does end with the Michigan game. And yes, that is just 5 weeks away right now. So regular season flying by. This would be a great time for you to join us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That's where we've got our whole team of insiders covering the Buckeyes, covering recruiting, covering X's and O's, and more. Plus a really fun and active community on the Huddle Board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus. That is all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We hope to see you there. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.